And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Elaine Thorpe, British trance medium with over a decade of experience who communicates with spirits, including her spirit guide, Jonathan Hunter. She offers insights and guidance to those seeking connection with the spirit realm. Elaine, welcome back. It's great to have you again.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I enjoyed it the last time, and you had many guests that come to watch, so it was quite informative for them.
Elaine, how have you changed as a person over the last 10 years being a channel?
Well, I've become a lot more trusting in it, put it that way. I mean, there's still little bits of it I doubt in myself and stuff, but mostly in them, I've come to trust it a lot more than I used to. So that's how I've changed. And obviously my experiences have changed, and that with Jonathan coming through, I feel like I've been a little bit more of a clear channel for him. I think that, if I let go and let him say what he needs to, then, that's how you become better, isn't it? Through trust and time. And I think that's how I've changed where the channeling is concerned, yeah.
I find it interesting that you're using the word trust. And why didn't you trust it in the beginning as much?
Simply because when they come close to us and they're connecting with our consciousness, I used to think, oh, is it real, or is it me putting my mind into it? Is it an altered ego? That sort of thing. All sorts of questions went through my mind, because I was new to it. And, even as the years passed by, I was new to it, and I thought, oh, I don't know. I'm bound to be some of us involved in it because they're connecting and impressing into our consciousness and stuff. So those were the doubts that I had. And I found the more that I let go, the more that the closer he could become and work better with me, rather than me just saying, oh, no, you can't do that, I allowed him to get on with it rather than keep doubting all the time. I thought, well, if he's got something to say, I better let him say it, let go and just stop doubting.
How are you able to discern between your thoughts and what Jonathan is saying?
Because I think more because when I listen back to it, more because of the way he says it, rather than how I would put it. It seems to be different to how I would word it. He seems to have a different kind of context of the way he puts things. And then I sometimes think, oh, yeah, I might put it a little bit like that. And some of my words, I might use that. But then most of what he says is sort of a more old-fashioned way of speaking, whereas in this modern way of speaking, we express ourselves differently to what they would have done back then, you know?
Does time behave differently while you're in a trance?
Yeah, it certainly does, because when I'm in the trance, it seems like 5 minutes and then an hour might have gone by. I know I did a demonstration once years ago at a spiritual church, and I started off, it must have been about 7:30 in the evening, and we got into it. And next minute, I woke up, and about nearly 3 hours had gone by.
Mm.
So they said, oh, sorry, we forgot about the time, and it was nearly 11 o'clock at night. So I thought to myself, I'll just turn over. I'm at home in bed, and when I opened my eyes, I was in a hall with a crowd full of people. So I must have gone quite far because I didn't realise that I was there. I was shocked when I opened my eyes because they'd left me under for so long. Then I thought I was at home in bed. I felt myself going to turn over in my bed, but I wasn't in bed. I was in the hall. That was something strange that happened there.
Do you ever just check in with Jonathan on your own, or does he ever communicate with you when you're not channeling and say, hey, Elaine, maybe you want to do this in your life or make some changes or anything at all?
Yeah, all the time. He doesn't interfere, obviously he knows my soul's journey. But he does talk to me, or if I ask him something, he'll answer me in my head. And there's sometimes a bit of doubt might come in. Is that just me think wishful thinking or thinking what I want him to answer the way I want him to answer it. But when he answers in the opposite way, and it's not what I would particularly want, I think, oh yeah, well, maybe it is him talking to me, because I know my father talks to me as well in the same way.
Really?
Yeah, and my mother, she sometimes comes in, but mostly my dad. He'll talk to me just as he talked to me on the earth,
Do
but
you
only in here.
do you hear him in his voice in your head or in your voice?
What, in Jonathan's voice?
What about your father? I mean,
Oh, my father, yeah, I hear him just as he used to speak. Yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah, just as he used to speak. It seems to me that he's the only one I haven't forgot what his voice sounded like.
When this stuff all first started happening for you, did you feel like you were going mad?
I thought I might be a bit, weird, but I was worried what people would think, put it that way. I thought, oh God, people are going to think I'm nuts doing all of this. But I always believed in it because of what my father did, and he was a skeptic. He was a very reluctant medium. He only did it for my mother. So that was why I thought, oh, people are going to think I'm nuts, or am I going nuts? You do think that. You just think, is this real, or am I just having an episode here? But you're not, obviously.
Well, I think the fact that if you're even questioning it, it should mean that you're somewhat sane, right?
Yeah, you've got every right to question it, and every human probably would question something like that. They question themselves, or they question what was happening to them. So don't feel a fool in questioning what you're doing, because my mum always used to say, "Don't take everything as gospel. Just question it, and if you want to, then do so. Don't feel that you've got to not ask them again or something." She'd say, if you want to question your own mind, sometimes you do, don't you? Every human being does, with something like that, especially.
If a person was new to channeling or mediumship and they first started hearing voices, should they be afraid?
No, don't be afraid. It's just shouldn't be a scary thing, really, because they're trying to communicate with us, and they love us. And if they didn't want to communicate, they wouldn't bother. But I've always done prayers and protection, obviously. And sometimes when they've come through in my dreams, I'm not the least bit afraid. I've felt them physically in my dreams, like most of us probably do from time to time, feel our loved ones physically, don't we? Lucidly in the dreams. So it didn't frighten me at all. It was amazing. I've only ever sort of seen a spirit out of the corner of my eye. It was a quick flash. And I just thought, oh, what was that? And they sort of appear to you like that, so you don't be afraid of them. I know I shouldn't be, but of course, if someone appeared in front of you, you'd think, oh, wouldn't you? It'd make you jump. And you're like, oh, who's that? Wait a minute, they're not of this earth. Yeah, you'd be a bit spooked out to start with, and then you'd kind of adjust to it, wouldn't you?
When you first make the connection, can you describe what it feels like physically or emotionally?
It feels like I'm relaxed, because I take myself into self hypnosis to do it. So I've become quite accustomed to relaxing and going into it. So it just feels like you're in a peaceful space. That's what it feels like. Like your surroundings are, I mean, you've got noises going on around you, haven't you, sometimes, but it feels like you're in a peaceful space. It feels like you're in a sort of I don't know, it's like in this world, but not in this world, if you know what I mean. That's how it feels. What a strange experience.
I wonder if channeling has been going on for centuries. And if you go back as far as like to Shakespearean times, if somebody was channeling, how would he write about that?
Yeah, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? I bet they did. They must have communicated with, other beings, or they communicated with God or the universe. They must have communicated with their gods or something. They say that, well, we have our gods that we communicate with and things. They must have been communicating with their guides, and perhaps they just called them gods or something. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? If they've been spiritual for thousands of years, and like the Tibetan monks and the Mayans and the Egyptians, they must have been somewhat spiritual with all the knowledge that they had. and how those pyramids were built. It makes you wonder.
For people out there that are meeting you and Jonathan for the very first time, can you share a little bit about who Jonathan is?
Well, Jonathan's my spirit guide. We all have spirit guides when we come to the earth, and they walk through life with us. And sometimes our soul's plan includes them. We might be like I am a medium, or any type of mediumship or connection to the spirit realm. They're always with us, and we have guardian angels as well that are with us. They don't have physical lives. They're just beings of light that come to be by our side through our lives and protect us in some ways. Yeah, that's what it's like. They make a pact with us from heaven and before we come here to be our spirit guides for the whole entire life that we live here. It's wonderful, really.
Let's see Jonathan, if you're ready.
Okay, it'll take a few moments for me to go into the trance, but obviously you'll edit that bit out. I don't know, but well, I'll leave you to it. Good afternoon. I'm happy to join you.
Hello, Jonathan. It's great to be with you again.
And you too, sir, yes.
Jonathan, can you share with us what your last incarnation was like on Earth?
My last incarnation was in the 1800s. I came from Islington in London. And of course, in those days, it was horse and carriage to get about, much the hustle and bustle and the crowds of not knowing which way one another was going to go. But that was all we knew, you see, and other things, of course. And it was sometimes difficult. Of course, we went through emotions much like yourselves. We had our own difficulties. But in those times, there weren't the technology, as you know, there wasn't. But we have ways of communicating with each other. And of course, we survived through that. As one might see that in your younger days, you wouldn't have had this too. So it is a wonderful innovation. But I was born in 1845. And when I came to be married, I was married in St. Mary's Church in Islington. And years later, that church was destroyed by the World War II bombing and rebuilt again by people that came together to help one another to do that. So it is still standing today, has much history attached to it. But of course, in my life, I would have worked with my father. He had a business that he put together and built up over the years. And that gave us a good life. It did, yes. Of course, I worked with him as I grew older. I came to have the experience of first directing the horse and carriage, and then, of course, going to the other side of the business as that grew, you see. We were able to hire people to do that sort of thing. But it was a wonderful experience. And sometimes we worked with people that were carrying out funerals and things, so we would work with those people and help them. It was quite a full life. And I passed to the spirit realm in 1891 at the youthful age of 45.
Well, that's pretty
But in
young.
those times, people didn't always have particularly long lives. There were illnesses that could not be helped in those days. Of course, we didn't have the technology again and the help that you have these days to save these people. So, of course, I did not know that I had been born into the world with a default in my heart. And, of course, I managed to survive through it until the time that it took me over to the spirit realm.
After you went back to the spirit realm, quite some time has passed before you made a pact with Elaine. What did you do in that time?
Many things. Your thoughts in the spirit realm take you to where you want to be, and there is no time there. So what seems like many years could seem very quick to us. So we do not think of time, we are in the moment. And the thought is where you wish to be, so that carries you to where you want to be in an absolute instant. So in that time,
Elaine lived the rest of her life, because I met her in that life, as Mary Ann Ellsworth. And when she passed eventually to the spirit realm to meet me, we made a pact together that I would be her spirit guide, and that she would come to the earth and go through what she needed to learn, but eventually that she would wake up spiritually, and I would be able to come and communicate through her and tell the people of the spirit life the way that we are here, how we communicate with you, messages from the spirit realm, that sort of thing. We made that pact that it would happen.
When you and Elaine were together in the 1800s, were you involved in some sort of romantic relationship?
It was more of a spiritual relationship than a romantic one, although there was some romance there, I should imagine. But it was more of a spiritual connection, because we are the twin soul, the reflection of one another. And so the instant that I had met her, there seemed to be some sort of huge spark inside us both that we didn't particularly understand, because, of course, I had Christian values in life, and I wasn't a devout Christian, but I had those Christian values that I had been brought up with. And something of that nature was seen as, sinister. But of course, I understood that in the end, that when I eventually came to the spirit realm, that it wasn't sinister, that we were communicating as two twin souls, you see, souls that are the reflection of one another. We love one another, and that you are like a mirror to one another, so to speak. So it's like looking at another person and seeing you within them, and vice versa. So that's what it was like. It was an experience of, it was temporary, shall we say, but there was a closeness there, and there was a communion there with both of us. We understood each other. There was similarity of positions. And of course, in those days, as Elaine worked as a helper in the home, a lot of those would have come from the north to find work in London. And a lot of them would come as servants or maids and things from all over the place. But a lot of them did come from the north, and you would employ them, and they would work with you in your home.
When you say you and Elaine are twin souls, does that mean that you both were initially one being that split into two? Or is it more like soulmates?
Soulmates are, if you look at soulmates, you could have a mother, a father, a pet, a brother, a friend that could be a soulmate to you, because you have a deep communion, a soul union, a recognition with them. But you are the mirror, reflection of one another, and I guess it would be something of a splitting into two, yes.
When you pass over in the spirit world, do you have a lot of unfinished business? And if so, how do you reconcile it?
Well, perhaps if you had unfinished business, you may want to come back and experience another lifetime to rectify that, or to experience it once again that you hadn't in the previous life. So there may be something that you need to overcome, or you may need to swap roles with that other being so that you could experience what it was like to have a sort of similarity of experience that they had in the previous life. But you would play it out in a different way through different timelines. So one might say you do spend a lot of time swapping roles or coming back to correct things, but you wouldn't come back forever, because the human behavior is never going to be perfect, because it is ego-based, you see. And you all have differences of opinion and different behaviors, and you experience different emotions in life. So it's never really perfectionism, but you are already perfect within. So therefore, the soul won't keep reincarnating forever. Eventually you will stay in the spiritual realm.
What are some of the misconceptions that people like me and everybody else on this side have about the spirit world?
Well, because you are told that it is, or you are informed that it is a beautiful paradise, then you cannot see that, because you are not in a reality of paradise. You see beauty of the earth as paradise, but you're not living the paradise life, so to speak, because you have tests of different emotions and things, and you have daily struggles, but you also have wonderful times too. So I don't want to miss that out. But what I would say is they see it more as a fantasy, and oh, how can you live on if you're brain dead? You see, but if you look at these people that have had near-death experiences, and they have been told that they call it a near-death experience, but it's actually the death experience, isn't it? Because you actually pass out of your body, you physically die, and then your soul is taken to the most beautiful place, and you come back in many different ways and describe what you had experienced whilst you were on the other side, you see. So that proves that there is life after life, so to speak, isn't it? I don't really see it as being death, because it is only the casting away of the overcoat and the revealing of the soul that was truly living the life in the physical realm.
After doing this work, I've come to realize that there are a lot of people grieving on this side over the loss of their loved ones. What kind of advice can you give them to give them peace?
Well, I would say, to find peace, know that if you could see how we are in this realm that we are in, the beauty, the joy, the love, the unconditional, infinite love, then you would smile. I think that rather than grieve for the loss, think of the joyful times that you will have had together. There are bound to be those to think of, aren't there? Think of the good times rather than thinking of the suffering that they may have gone through. And if they have passed to the spirit realm very quickly, don't think of any suffering. Just think of where they would have gone to in your own mind. See the paradise that you want to put them in, because they are actually there.
When you cross over to the spirit realm, does your personality change? And do you think, I was just playing a part in a theater at the time, and now I'm really who
Yes,
I am?
that's it. You become your true self. The true self is the soul. This is just the overcoat to come to create balance within this realm. So it's sort of a yin and yang thing, isn't it? If you look at it, as above, so below. So you have your spiritual experiences here. You have things that remind you of home, don't you? The beautiful nature of the earth and such. You could have that in the spiritual realm too.
Is there a great awakening that's coming on this side? And if so, are there enough awakened souls to reach the critical mass yet?
Well, there is the two side by side, aren't there? There are the awakenings of the truth that are taking place on your earth. So everything seems to be boiling to the surface at the moment, and everything seems very negative and heavy at the moment. But in order to cleanse something, you'd have to bring it to the surface, wouldn't you? You'd have to bring all of this misgivings and truths to the surface so that they could be realized, and they could be seen, and they could be overcome, and peace would come. I'm not saying that the earth and the behavior of the people is going to be absolutely perfect, but I would say that most of it is this sort of, I would say, cleanse, so to speak, because it is realized and it is let go of. So you will have your fears surface, your truths surface. I don't mean your general fears of things, but I mean that your emotional fears will surface themselves. And there are those that have come here to realize earthly truths and to be these people that bring that out. So that's the earthly awakening, which also is attuning side by side with the spiritual awakening. So there are many awakening to themselves. Do you see what I mean? That they are realizing who they are, and that they are more than just the human.
Do you have the option of going to other planets and other realms instead of coming back to Earth?
Well, a lot of people would say that, but most of you come to this earth, you see. And of course, I want to say to you that there are other parts in the universe that are the reflection of this. So there would be another place that would be habitable for the souls or particles of the souls to incarnate to. So what I'm going to say to you is that you are made up of facets. Your soul is facets. So a piece of the facet of you would remain in the spirit realm, and other facets of you would incarnate onto these planets. So one might say, well, surely the whole soul is going to come down to Earth. That can't be, surely. But no, it's the reality is that you are made up of facets. And when you go through the other side of the galaxy, how do you know that there is not a planet that is similar to Earth, that a facet of you is experiencing life there? And so when all of the facets of you rejoin together, there's no more need to reincarnate.
Some of my guests say that on your side, the past, the present, and the future are all happening at the same time. Is that true?
The past is something that you have already experienced, but you could go back to in your thought. The present is only ever going to be the now. You are in the now every moment of your life. If you dream, you're in the now moment within the dream. If I'm sitting here conversating with you, this is a moment that travels into several particles of moments that makes the oneness of the moment. So therefore, you're in the now every waking and sleeping moment of your life in this existence. So past, present, and future. Past is what you have already experienced, and you can only look back to in your thoughts. Present is where you are now, and future is what your soul has planned, but you haven't yet experienced.
From your side, can you see the future?
Oh, yes, yes. I could look at a future. You see, you get these mediums that tell people of their futures, and then it comes true. So that's the absolute proof that you go on, you see, because the soul has planned the entirety of the journey. And if it hadn't, then how could these mediums possibly know what is going to happen and that it plays out in that person's life?
How far into our future can you see? Decades, centuries?
Well, we are able to see this life, and you have not planned the next life yet. So we can see all of your other lives that you have lived, but we can also see into the future of what is to be in your world, yes.
Do we all have spirit guides?
Every one of you. Spirit guides and guardian angels, every one of you.
I don't know if it's possible or not, but from where you are you able to see my spirit guide?
Yes, he's standing next to you.
Are our spirit guides with us 24 hours a day?
They are with you when you think of them, when you need them, when you want them. They don't leave your side. They don't go into your private moments. Of course, we are with you when you need us. And we walk with you. We are with you. We don't hang around on the earth because we are just a thought away, you see. And our thoughts can commune with your thoughts should you choose to connect with us.
How do we connect with you?
Through thought. Through thought, through asking us to send you signs, through meditation, through prayer.
All right.
That's how you connect with us.
There has been a comet coming towards this planet that entered our solar system called 3I Atlas. Do you know anything about it?
Yes, I do, yes. I know that it has displayed some unusual activity, and of course, it is a rare occasion that you should get to see this, but each comet is different. And when it explodes into several different pieces, that is probably because when it is going through great pressure, it could only build up heat and break apart. But it may have behaved rather strangely because it has come in from another galaxy. So it's not going to be aliens landing on your Earth, but it can create some sort of static, I would say, movement in the way of communion. You think it is communicating with your world, but you've got to imagine that that is so powerful, so energetic. It's traveling through space at thousands of miles an hour.
Are there aliens visiting our world?
They can visit, yes. But they would not survive on your Earth's surface because the way they live is different to the way that you live. Their makeup would be different. But you are not the only ones in the universe, I can assure you of that.
Some people believe that the Earth is actually a prison of the galaxy. they put all the bad people here.
Well, you're not a bad person, are you?
No.
They're not all bad. So some have come here to make things better, perhaps to help the souls that have not quite reached that point yet. You see, you've got the souls that come here to experience the greater depths of negativity. You will all experience every depth of emotion, every height of emotion, every depth of experience, every height of experience, until you realize yourself, until you begin to love yourself. These people that behave rather terribly may have chemical imbalance within their brains, uh, either through what they have ingested or through some sort of chemical fault within the brain, or they may have had trauma in their lives, or they may be influenced by others' conditioning that makes them behave in the way that they do. But of course, eventually, as their souls travel through lifetime after lifetime, they may become a better person, and they may begin to love themselves and realize their spiritual self.
Is there a God?
There's not, it's not a God as such. You know, you have just given it an identification. You've given that energy. God is source energy, and you are particles of that. So you go from that and you come back to that. So it's a huge existence of all. The energy is absolutely impeccable. It is infinite, wonderful. You cannot even begin to explain it. So God is just a name that they have thought up over the millions of years or centuries rather. You know, they've always had their God-like belief. So they see God as an all-powerful being that is not such a being but an energy. And that is the absolute. That is what you are all a part of. And you are not judged by God. You are not. The soul judges itself. It looks at the life review and judges itself, and may want to go away and think about things, or may want forgiveness if it has done something terrible to another that is still residing on the earth. So one might say that no God, no Jesus judges you. It's you that judges you, your soul.
Are you able to see in our near future and reveal to us things like what's going to happen with the economic status of the planet or natural disasters?
Well, I do see the economics are a little difficult in quite a few countries at the moment. There does seem to be a great dropping down, which I would see could last anything up to 8 years. And then, of course, like anything else, over time it improves and it starts to come back again to somewhat of a normality. So different countries have different problems, don't they? You know, they all start to come to it. As a whole, I would say around about the 8 years of correction time that it would take to resume itself as some sort of normality. It's always going to have a drop and a raise, but sometimes it takes a further drop.
What about things like earthquakes or other natural disasters?
Well, natural disasters have happened over millions and millions of years, even before the humans, started to come to this planet. So I would say that every so many thousands of years, or even hundreds for some cases, or even a short amount of years for some. So you get certain volcanic actions that come to the surface regularly, so the Earth venting itself, so to speak. It's a cooling and heating system that the Earth has. It's absolutely beautiful, but I'm afraid humans sometimes are very small in comparison to these sort of things, and it can cause disasters because the Earth is such a large place. But at the moment, the Earth is going through great change. And because you've had your solar flares, that is going to somewhat affect the Earth, isn't it? So therefore, there are more earthquakes and more the parting of lands and seas going between those lands and creating what was once one country now becomes two places, the separation of the two. So a great separation is taking place. And people talk about the separation. It's also the separation of people's opinions. But going back to the Earth, it is millions of years old and it knows exactly what it's doing. So it has this cooling and venting and heating system that is perfectly natural because the humans, they want to mess about with these things. But if you left nature to its course, I'm sure that, you're always going to have these changes, but you may go through years without them, and all of a sudden a surge happens. And there's nothing that you can do to stop it.
You just mentioned that humans came to Earth and disasters were happening before that. When you
Well, yes, the Earth was forming itself, wasn't it? It was, again, creating land and water. So the Earth would have had volcanic eruption, it would have had earthquakes, it would have had meteors at some point coming near to it or even landing on it and creating problems with land. So therefore, it has done this for millenniums of time, infinite. And of course, eventually it became that the land would turn with greenery upon it and stay still and be a silence for a while until it decided to move itself again. So the
say,
humans came here because it became habitable for them to
where
live
did
upon it.
where did the humans come from?
The heavens, the souls, the facets of the souls decided to experience life here.
You mentioned solar flares, and some people believe that there's going to be some giant solar event coming that is going to make massive changes on this planet. Do you see that?
Well, what I see here is all of the planets are going to align with the sun, every one of them. And that is quite a rare occasion. Some of them align, but this is going to be all of the planets, which hasn't really happened for a long, long time. But of course, your solar flares, they carry energy. And again, they do affect all of these planets. The other planets are here for the Earth's purpose. They are its brothers and sisters, so to speak. They are its family. And although they are not habitable, they are there for the purpose. If they weren't there, the Earth would not survive on its own. So they are there to help the Earth. They are the catalysts for the Earth existence, for life upon Earth. And so is the sun. It creates life. If you look at the light, if you're going to say something of the Son of God, it's a beautiful star that giveth life. It gives you life here on this planet. Without it, you would all surely come to a finish. And so if that star was to burn itself out, then everything on this earth would cease to live. And at the moment, it has a solar flare because, of course, like anything else, it's made up of a huge ball of heat that is a temperature beyond human comprehension. And sometimes, like a fire, it flicks out and flicks upwards. So, of course, it's going to have that. You call it solar flare, but of course, it is the sun. It is a big ball of fire and energy. And so, like the fire is licking, the flames lick, don't they? They go up in the air and they lower themselves. Well, that's what the sun's like. And sometimes the flames of the sun will go further than one might expect. And the energy of the earth and all of the other planets are affected.
Is the Earth a conscious living being itself?
Oh, yes, yes. You can bet on that. I would say that the earth has a soul. And one day when you're all in the spirit realm, the earth's soul will be with you. And you will be saying, we once lived upon that planet. That was a place for our life. Now we no longer need to live on this planet. The soul of that planet is with us, the memory of that. It will
Sun.
just become a barren place because the soul of it will move away from it.
What about the sun? Is that also a conscious being?
Well, yes, it is alive with energy and fire. It gives you life. It has been given to you and put in exactly the right place to give you life on earth. So I guess you could say, well, did God create it? Well, it was created from something, wasn't it? And look at the alignment to each planet perfectly, moving around it, yet not going too near it. It's absolutely wonderful. that has a soul too, in some sense, doesn't it?
Yes. Is there some big event that is coming in our near future that we should prepare for?
Well, I would say that you are starting to prepare for it now because you're seeing truth arise in every country, in every part of the world. Changes will take place. Perhaps eventually you will find peace with one another. But there will be this uproar, you see. And of course, souls will be joining us as they do every moment of every day. But a lot more souls will be joining us once again. There will be a surge of souls joining us. And of course, those others are here to help bring the light and an understanding that there is an afterlife for them to go to. And maybe they would give themselves a chance to understand who they are before they go there, rather than leaving in fear.
Are there any questions that you wish somebody like me would ask you, but nobody ever does?
Well, I tend to leave it to you because I tend to know what you're going to ask me.
Do you have a message for humanity?
I would have a message that try and find peace within yourselves, and then it would make the world a much better place. Rather than all of this conflict, your beliefs are causing you conflict. If you could see the absolute, the oneness, the reality, that all of this would cease to go on. Love yourselves, and besides loving yourselves, it is sometimes hard to love yourself, isn't it? But besides trying to do that, try to get along with each other as best that you can. But you are learning from all of these different emotional experiences, so it's not going to be perfect. But what I would say is live your life to the fullest. Live each day as if it were your last, they say, don't they? But that could not be more true. Don't begrudge yourself of happiness. Do the things that give you joy. Put a smile upon your face.
Why do we have so much trouble loving ourselves?
Because you have fear of judgment. You feel as if that you love yourself, that you are vain and self-envious. But that's not true. If you would love yourself as much as you love others outside of yourself, then why would you begrudge yourself with that? Why would you do that? Because if you can love others so easily, your mother, your father, your friends, your brother, your sisters, your pets, whoever they are, you give love to them. And you may have a partner who you deeply love. And then you say to yourself, well, I'm going to self-sabotage me because I shouldn't love me because I should be loving everybody else. That's what it's about, isn't it? No. Your journey is going back to you, and you are the only one that is ever going to be you, not anyone else, you. You are that consciousness. You are all as one in connection, but you are the individual, the uniqueness that carries absolute beauty within. You are perfect to us. And although your behavior on earth isn't perfect, it's just because you are experiencing so many emotions that eventually you do find love for yourself. You're not vain, you're not selfish. You're learning to appreciate you as much as you would others. So try it.
Would you say the purpose of life is on earth for learning?
Very much so. The soul has the human experience and it has the spiritual experience in the heavens. So again, as above, so below. You are having a human experience. So you're not the human having a spiritual experience. You are the spirit having a human experience. The soul is having a human experience here.
Many people will say that after this life, they don't want to come back, probably because it's so difficult here. Is that common?
I hear them say it all the time, yet some of them still go back. But I'm going to say to you that the sooner you realize yourself, the sooner you love yourself, the sooner you realize who you are, and the sooner you go out there and use it to help others in many different ways. You don't have to be a medium to be spiritual. You could give others love and help other people in many different ways that is connected to spirituality, but you don't have to be a medium to do it. And when you use that, chances are you may not come back here again because you've reached the absolute. You've gone on the journey that the whole purpose of it was in the first place. And one might say, well, if we're so loved in the spirit realm, why do we need to come back here for? Why can't we just stay there and be in a beautiful place? But again, it's as above, so below, and it's the equilibrium of the soul, the balance. There is two sides.
You're saying that we need to recognize who we are, right?
That's right.
Who are we?
You are the soul. You are the essence that carries through all of these lives. You are a soul, a being of light. Energy.
When you say that, it makes sense, but I'm not sure if I'm still recognizing that.
Well, you won't recognize it because you are in the human existence and you have amnesia. And the reason that you have amnesia is if you knew everything that was going to happen in your life, life would not be an adventure for you. In fact, it would be torturous to know everything that was going to happen every day in your life. You would be depressed because you would have no excitement, nothing to seemingly look forward to, would you?
Yeah.
So that's why you have this amnesia, and that is why you are rediscovering yourself, piecing that puzzle back together that you created. And everything fits with everything else. That's why you're all as one, really.
You just said we're all one. Does that mean
You
that
are.
on the other side, are we all connected?
You are connected. You're all as one. There is no separation. You're not one great big soul. You're one great big soul family, yes. But you have your soul groups that you will reincarnate with time and time again. You will swap roles. So those are the soul groups. It doesn't mean to say that you're separated from other souls, but you are all telepathic in connection in the spirit realm, and you all have telepathy in the earth experience too. You just need to know how to use it.
That's a good point. How do we use it?
Again, trust in your intuitiveness. That is your empowerment.
Well, the only being that I know that may be telepathic is my dog, because it seems like it can read my thoughts.
Yes. Well, the animals are very trusting, aren't they? It's very wonderful for them. They know the place. They don't have any ego as such or conditioning, only what the person gives them. They will have their own fears to deal with, yes, but they trust you, they love you, and they know of the spirit realm.
Are pets on their own evolutionary path, or are they completely different beings?
They are on their own evolutionary path, yes. They are learning just like you are in some ways.
Will they ever become humans at some point?
They may do. It is very rare, though. But I know I must bring Elaine back because she is drying out here.
Well, Jonathan, it was great being with you again, and I hope in another time we will connect once again.
That's better. Oh. Throat was drying out there, sorry.
That's okay. Welcome back.
Thank you.
We spent quite a bit of time together.
Yeah, that was interesting. Your questions are interesting for him.
I really enjoy being with Jonathan.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you enjoy it. And thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure to join you again.
Elaine, thank you for coming and being my guest again and channeling Jonathan for us.
Well, thank you very much. And I've enjoyed it thoroughly. And you're a good interviewer, very kind.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And before we go, if people want to know more about what you're up to, do you have a website?
Yeah, I have a website, ElaineThorpe.com. that you can get in touch with Lucy on. I have my Facebook page, which is Elaine Thorpe, and I also have Elaine Thorpe, Trance Medium and Spiritual Artist, which is a page we put some of our things on there. We have events, so if you want to look at the events and come along to them, they're on the website. So that's the way you can get in touch with me, yeah.
YouTube channel as well.
Oh, yes, and our YouTube channel, Elaine Thorpe. You can come and watch our videos of Jonathan bringing his wisdom through and have a listen to it. Sometimes we do lives on there. We haven't lately, but I expect we'll get round to it. But it's been a pleasure.
It's been my pleasure, Elaine, and thanks for joining us, and I wish you the best.
And you too. God bless you, and see you again another time.
Thank you, and God bless you. Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.